Good evening. You're welcome to The Dish on MX24. My name is Miriam Mensah. Good evening. Like, it's another evening to have a very powerful conversation with my progressive women. And this evening is no different. Like, listen, I'm going to have this conversation and try to be as ladylike as possible, because this matter, they vex me. They vex me past anything in this life. But as we always do, we bring you thought-provoking conversations, of course, discussions that empower women, of course, and to just bring out the best in my gender. Because I keep telling you that we're growing, or we're learning and growing together on this show. So this is not your regular all-female show. It's one of those shows that just empower you, gives you the reason to keep showing up and learning and focusing on growing together with wonderful women. So you're welcome. Okay, I want to say a big thank you to Decozone for this very beautiful set, and to Cowboy Coffee, keeping me awake, because guys, sometimes I don't want to be here. Like, I don't want to be alive. I don't want to be here. But Cowboy Coffee just says that, you know what, you can show up in your best self. And so I want to say big thank you to them, Telecel. And of course, to your wonderful self for showing up every single time on this show. I'm going to acknowledge Epiglow for saying that, listen, for that skin to be its best, for you to show up your best. Because, you know, sometimes your confidence is really about your looks. Like, you're that confident because your looks is giving what it's supposed to give. And Epiglow says they're going to give you that skin that will speak volumes whenever you show up. So grab you an Epiglow facial cream and body cream and thank me later. Now, the point is that this warning I will not stop giving to you, because people know they listen. I said, stop using that cream on your face. That cream you use for your entire body, stop using it on your face. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Like, stop it right now. Like, right now. It's against the law. It's criminal to use that cream on your body, on your face. It's criminal, guys. Don't do it. Epiglow has a special facial cream for you. So they are saying that grab you that cream and thank me later. Well, we're going to continue to have conversations that elevate women here on this platform. And like I said earlier, today is no different. Now, we're going to be looking at a wonderful conversation. And say a big thank you also to Lily, Nivea, and Betway for also coming on board this wonderful show. The hashtag on social media is The Dish on MX24. The Dish. And on MX24, The Dish on MX24, make sure to tag us on that, because I know some of you want to ask questions, right? But the show is probably over and you want to still ask anyway. Just hashtag The Dish on MX24 and I'll identify that question and I'll definitely answer you or help find an answer to that question. Well, the feminist conversation has driven societal change and advocated for gender equality, but its discussion has become increasingly complex. Questions arise about whether the conversation has stayed or has strayed, from its intent of being been misinterpreted. So I was looking up the original intent for feminism, and I realized that, guys, what's happening on social media is not what the original plan is, okay? The original, my guess already like, so the original plan was to tell you not to cook for your husband. You know, that wasn't the original plan. The people that came up with their feminist movements didn't plan to come and write the men out of business, but it's just asking for women to be included too, for women to be given equal opportunity. If they merit it, that's another thing that you need to consider. But today, my guests are going to help us. Like I always tell you, this wonderful friend of mine tells me we're going to kekeshiate. We're going to dissect and kekeshiate this conversation because it has become necessary for us to give the right interpretation to this particular topic, feminism. And joining me, we have I take my words back. Yeah? Mrs. Juliana Amoateng. She is a social media influencer and entrepreneur, a wonderful wife, many things.
Content creator.
A beauty content creator. Ladies and gentlemen, drum roll! Miss Juliana, Mrs. Hey, what am I calling you, Miss?
Yes. Feel free.
No.
You can call me Juliana.
No. I've told my people that when I become a Mrs. Hey, Who are you? My mother, my father, my daughter. You can't call me without adding Mrs.
Oh.
You have to add Mrs. to my name. It's been a long time coming.
It'll come, definitely.
Very soon. And also we have her ladyship, Agbang. Did I pronounce it well?
Almost.
Almost. Please
Yes,
give me
but
the right
of course it's a noun, so anyhow you pronounce it
No,
is
please,
right.
I want the right pronunciation.
Agbang.
Agbang.
Yes.
Agbang.
Yes. That's my
Yes.
local name.
Yes.
It means who knows.
Who knows?
Yeah. Like who knows tomorrow.
Wow. And I'm sure you live a very open-minded life, I believe. And I say,
It feels like you've read me like an open book.
I do this, I do this. But this is very exciting for me. I love it. And this is no acting, not because the cameras are on. I've watched this woman my entire social media life. Because I joined social media not too long ago. And I absolutely love her content. I am just hearing about, like my co-host was just telling me about not my co-host, my producer, just telling me about some of the wonderful things you ladies have done. And I'm like, oh my God. Am I not the most blessed woman on earth to be sitting with such wonderful women? Well, good evening one more time. Thank you so much for joining us. When we talk about the conversation feminism or the feminist movement, I'm going to start with you, her ladyship. What does it sound to you like when you hear the feminist movement?
Okay. So when I hear the word actually feminism, right, I am thinking that it is something that's supposed to inspire young women that are now coming up, or women that are already women, okay? We are looking to inspire them to go out of the norm, to go out of the usual things and break boundaries and do things for themselves, right? Gone are the days where our mothers, grandmothers, grandparents, basically the women, they relied on the men, right, to provide and to do everything for them, which is not wrong and it's not bad, right? But then in certain situations where the men are not available to do those things for you, then you are found wanting.
Yeah.
So the whole idea to me of feminism, it's supposed to be an inspirational thing to inspire you to do stuff for yourself, your future, and your whole identity as a person. You shouldn't be identified by your husband. You shouldn't be identified by your father, even your mother. You should be identified by yourself. So it's just for inspiration. That is how I see it. Yeah.
I'm going to say something before Juliana comes in. I'm thinking that are we not consciously breaking the design God originally had? And I'm saying this because you are going to be speaking on that for me. A woman of God is now, so I need to. Because if God designed that women should be dependent on men, if God designed that women should be, and I hate this word, but okay, we're going to use it. If God designed that women should be the weaker vessel, why then is it so important for us to provide independence, just be, a woman, just be a woman? God wants you to be catered for, catered to. God wants you to be, I'm saying this like, I'm just thinking wild. What if that was what God planned? Which is why in the past, you might have seen a lot of women probably doing that. And again, I was looking up how some of these conversations of women empowerment came up, and I realized that African women were actually very empowered. This women empowerment didn't apply to African women. It was really a Western thing where when you go to an office, a woman is paid less, a woman is not really recognized. But African women have always led the charge. We've always been the entrepreneurs. We've always been the people holding the money. Name the big politicians. The Kwame Nkrumahs were supported by women. So where did it come from that we feel so weak that we need to start a whole empowerment movement? But that's so consider this. We'll come back to you. When we talk about the feminist movement, for you, how do you feel about this conversation?
So I'm actually glad you started off with God's divine intention of creating women. And let me just take us back. I mean, I'm a Jesus babe, so
yeah,
So, one beautiful story about some happenings in the Bible. When Jesus began his ministry, getting his disciples to follow him, going all over the nations, preaching the gospel. It was women who were supporting financially. Mary Magdalene, she and her friends were supporting Jesus' ministry financially because, you know, the disciples had left everything behind. Whether they were married, whether they had families, they had left everything behind. So they needed to be catered for. They needed to eat. They needed to take care of themselves. The Bible didn't give a lot of information as to their daily lifestyle. But then it was women who were taking care of them. It means they were working, actually. So to me, feminism has always existed. It's not something that just came out of nowhere or began in the 1800s like we see in the books or whatsoever. But then to me, it's even something that should be very common for all of us to think about, that when we talk of women, everybody should be able to exist in their own personality, to exist in their own uniqueness, just as Agbang was saying, to exist in their own uniqueness and function just as God intended us to function. And so as women, you wake up, you have your independence, not because of anything, but that is how God created us to be. God created us to have everything at our disposal. And things that should come at our disposal come with independence. And so when we say feminism or femininity or whatsoever, it's all about independence, existing in our uniqueness, just as God created it to be. So it's not even about using a whole lot of terminology to coin topics or subjects or have serious or drastic conversations around it. Just being we just need to be independent and exist just as God intended it to be. We have just complicated issues to make the thing so hard. It's not supposed to be hard. And I used to say that feminism discussions should be about common sense. It should really be about common sense. But because of the complexities around it and how society has carried itself with human understanding, psychology, you know, the way society has evolved, the way economic status have always, you know, people have looked forward to being in certain leadership roles, being on power. That is what have brought up this whole issue. But it's not supposed to be something that is complex at all. Everybody needs opportunities. And what are the opportunities? What is it leading to? It's all leading to independence and living, being existent.
Like a wholesome life.
A wholesome life. That should be the easiest thing to even discuss. It shouldn't be this complex at all.
I realized that the more you talked about it, the more you felt how frustrated you feel when this conversation comes up. You see, like I said earlier, when we started the conversation, I mentioned that the original intent of this feminist movement was to just include women too, because over time, in the Western world, believe me, note that it was happening there the most. And women over here probably didn't think more about those professional spaces. Because if I grew up and if I grew up with a mom who was selling tomatoes, me, I know that I don't have to worry myself over school. I'm going to sell tomatoes. And my mother is the one buying the house. So with tomatoes, we're going to buy a house. Then education was introduced. Then we're saying that, women can be doctors and lawyers and what have you too. And then we said that, listen, educating a woman is educating a whole nation. And then we accepted that narrative. And then we started running with it. And then these women thought that, you know what, I should be president too. I should be vice president too. I should be this too. I should be that too. And then we're saying that, okay, then let's adopt that ideology, that women should be included in big conversations too. But then over time, I think there has been different interpretation to it, which says that if they merit it. Because we've seen women, my gender, be put in positions that they didn't bring good, name to us. Like they literally did rubbish over there and marred the name that you're struggling to build. And so if a woman merits a position, give it to her too, was the original intent for this, movement. Ladies and gentlemen, or ladies, more ladies, has this agenda been misrepresented or just destroyed? Let me put it that way. It's not part of my script, but let me just add it. Do you think that this agenda to include women too, if they merit it, has just totally been thrown out of the window and misinterpreted?
Well, I think that fundamentally the whole idea of feminism has been misinterpreted right from its kickstart, right? So, like I said earlier, for me, the idea of feminism, like you mentioned, is about being included. But over time, it has become men against women. It feels like when you see people preaching about feminism, right? It's like men against women, women against men. For instance, one of the people that is widely misunderstood is Chimamanda by a lot of men.
By a lot of women too.
By a lot of women too. You see?
You like her?
Chimamanda. I feel okay. I feel like we're about to have a different conversation because of her name.
Okay. I'm okay. I just want to understand from which angle you're coming from. If you cite her as an example, then I believe there's something in there that you could teach us. So please, let's go.
Okay, so you see women, the likes of Chimamanda. You also, there is one name I want to mention, but I'll mention it later when it comes to mind, right?
Okay.
These people sometimes are preaching, most often than not, are preaching about being included, are preaching that women can also be that, are preaching that women can also be the presidents, they are saying, the vice presidents. We can be whatever we want to be. The issue we are having right now is the fact that we are having, for the longest that we can remember, we are misinterpreting what male dominance means. Yes. To be a male, to dominate, to lead, to guide, to protect, does not change anything or take away anything from you if your woman is also in a space where she is also doing stuff for herself. It doesn't change anything for the family if your woman is in a position that puts her in front. It doesn't change anything.
Your value doesn't reduce.
It doesn't reduce your value as a man. It doesn't reduce you from being dominant to being under. It doesn't do that. It's just adding her to a position to be more of a help to you. So when you are very much educated as a man and your woman is uneducated, there are certain, in this world, like this day and age we are in now, there are certain things that both of you would have as a friction due to the fact that you are highly educated and your woman is not educated, or you are up to a certain standard in a certain level that your woman is not. It's quite difficult. You would have a lot of challenges there. So it's just about preaching being included. So I personally do not get why we are making this whole thing about women against men and men against women. I think men should even be fighting more for feminism.
Honey, I didn't see when that revolution happened. Can you tell when this happened?
I don't know how it happened.
Maybe you're on social media, so you probably have, you do a lot of research. So you probably have had interest in it and researched it one day. Because I haven't.
I don't know how it happened. You know, the voices that preach against feminism is louder. I just think that those voices are louder. You know, there's this empty barrels makes the most noise. Because they want the narrative to suit whatever intention they seek to promote, it has overshadowed the good conversations. And so the misrepresentation, to me, I don't think it has been misunderstood. The core principle of feminism is still there, but then just that the voices against feminism is rather louder than the voices for, right? So maybe as a means to end all these, those of us who are interested and really want to see this being pushed to the right minds and educating the right people or educating the masses to meet even those who are against it, that education should be more louder so that if we are not at par with the loudness, it should exceed it. So its misrepresentation, I think, is just about, and also about social media being the most tool that has been used in today, where almost everyone have access to this kind of information. Because back then, even though we were still, you know, fighting and trying to get women to be inclusive in all these systems, all these roles and what have you, social media has been a means to actually perpetuate the education aspect. And unfortunately, again, the noises around the opposition is way louder, and social media has made it possible. So we have to be the ones to still bring it up to the top. And like she said, Chimamanda has been pushing it for a very long
For
time.
the longest.
Imagine she had backers of these same people who were the most loudest. I don't think by now it would have gotten to where it is today.
Oh, as a
where
woman,
it has turned to
honey,
men against men, women. No, not at
I'm going
all.
to do you, Jessica. Honey, listen. When I listen to Chimamanda, I cringe a lot. I struggle to process. I think she speaks really eloquently. She's a wonderful speaker,
Yeah,
and her
she
confidence
a wonderful
is
speaker. Top
is,
notch.
is beyond.
Yeah.
Where did you get
The
to
other
that
name I
from?
wanted to mention, sorry, is Maya Angelou.
My
Maya
Angelou.
Angelou,
Yeah.
right.
I would listen to her. I
Yeah,
would listen to her.
she also, I mean, from her poems and stuff,
Yes.
she is also pushing feminism,
Yes.
right? She's pushing it. The difference between Maya Angelou and Chimamanda is pushing it with a more aggressive, for
think
lack of a
so.
better word,
I
right?
think
Let me
so.
use aggressive. She is pushing it with more of like a bit of aggression.
Aggression.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maya Angelou, she is pushing it softly,
Yeah.
subtly,
Yeah.
but with a bit of, you would still see the confidence
Yeah.
in whatever she is
She's
saying,
saying.
that has to do with being a woman. You're
I am 1000% with you. Because you see, I grew up with two mothers. Like, I have two mothers, and I always say this. It's very weird.
I have
But
two mothers
I-
too, so.
okay. Yeah, I have two mothers, and both mothers are the same. Somehow, I don't know, not one woman born them, but they are the same, which means that God was trying to tell me something. But one thing I also realized is that some of these conversations spun from, see, we're getting this pushback because of what we're preaching. There was a time on social media where some women started a movement to totally remove the very essence of womanhood, which is being meek, soft, graceful, yet be very powerful. Because you see, one of the things that we don't even appreciate is the power in our softness. We don't appreciate it. And we all want to be all... I am like, Glasgow's a little bit.
Yeah.
But I see the power in the grace that God has put into us. The softness that we have. Like when you come in and be like, oh, it's the same. With your beautiful son. Like she literally smiles effortlessly. You don't have to do anything to this young lady. She's smiling. That, we don't appreciate it. We don't see how effective that is to even push an agenda. You can get everybody to do what you want them to do without having to push a finger.
yeah.
But we all want to be so masculine to the point that, and this is probably the first time I'm going to say this on this platform, we women, born female, are pushing to embrace our feminism. How ironic is that? That is innate. That is who you are. How are you being advised with all these advocacies to embrace who you are? That is crazy.
I think that is because, you see, we come from different places.
Okay.
Right. And we are raised by different people, different surroundings, like the usual saying that it's not one person that raised a child.
And your mama needs to be.
The whole community, for
Yeah.
some reason,
Yeah.
maybe not directly,
Directly,
but
yeah.
the kind of community, for instance, if you are from Cantonment
Yes.
and someone that is from Nima,
Yes.
there was going to be so much difference.
Yeah.
A lady from Cantonment, excuse me, would be more feminine, possibly, and more soft than a woman from Nima.
Why?
That is because of the person surrounding. The person grew up literally fighting for every single thing. You grew up in a home where every single thing is mostly handed to you. You smile and your mom comes running, your dad comes running. Your first date as a woman, your dad took you out. He bought everything for you. So you already are that person. You already are that soft. You know you don't have to go and shout for your dad to provide or for the men around you to provide or do anything for you. The woman in Nima, you have to scream your lungs out for them to. And if they are not, you literally have to fight for it. So I understand the irony that you're trying to say, but it also feels like because we come from different places, we still have to educate ourselves that you do not have to be aggressive to get it as a woman.
Yeah.
And some of us do not even know that we are supposed to be soft. And you cannot necessarily blame some of us.
Sure.
You know, in every human being, be it a man or a woman, you have a bit of a feminism, like feminine part, and you have the masculine part in you. The men also have their feminine part, and they have the masculine part. What you're saying is just like men and women. You see, men, they are built by society to be like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You have to be that.
Yes, we are
Otherwise, if a man shows a bit of his feminine side, it's cringe. We're like, ugh, like, be a man.
Yeah.
If a man is crying right now over something, like, ugh, be a man.
Yeah.
It's the same way for the women, right?
I'm crazy for every woman who's masculine. Oh my God.
It's the same way for the women. Like, I mean, if you're trying to be overly masculine, you have to be a woman. And a woman is soft. A woman is meek. You see, I've reduced my voice now.
So it's good you mentioned the cultural context. Because in my head, when you were all talking about Chimamanda, I'm like, no Chimamanda slander will be tolerated here.
I know.
I was like, okay, Chimamanda has had so many experiences, so many exposures.
Wow.
And I think because of the spaces she has been in and trying to push this agenda, she sees how slow people are taking it. She sees how systems are not making the right structures to accommodate women, to make women comfortable in certain spaces, especially for, say, offices. When a woman gives birth, not every woman have the same experience with childbirth. And so for example, in Ghana here, when you give birth, you are given 3 months to heal, and then born with your child. After 3 months, you come back to the working space. Now, how many offices or how many organizations have made the office more accommodative such that even as young as the baby is, if the woman doesn't have any support system back at home, they would still be able to bring that baby to the office, even if the child is going to be sleeping, assuming the child will be sleeping all day. And the woman is supposed to have the work done, right? The child can't obviously sleep on the woman's lap all day. The baby has to be put somewhere. Do we have offices that have made systems in place such that there would be a sort of a separate room for babies, so that even if the woman is bringing in a nanny, if she can afford, the nanny can have that space for herself. So I think that Chimamanda has seen all this, and she's been pushing for so long.
And maybe it's getting a bit more angry.
So maybe that aggression you think is in for her, with her, all her submissions, is coming from that. Because we've come a long way to actually have women embrace our femininity. Like how? Just like you were saying, how possible is that? It's because of these experiences and how far we have come as a society. By now, that's why I'm saying that in my mind, it should be common sense to be doing these things. But then we have come so far, so far, that it looks like we are regressing even. So that such that the conversations have really turned away from what it was supposed to be. But it is not supposed to be like that. Whether we came from hard environments, I grew up in Bokrom Zongo. That's where I had my childhood. And so as human being, whether you are a man or a woman, you learn and unlearn. So if there are certain attitudes that made you shift away from being feminine at a point where you are supposed to act, because there's time and place for everything. And I don't think it is only limited to us women having been in our feminism at that instance. Where you are supposed to show forth aggression, you should show aggression. Because situations demand for certain personalities. Situations demand for certain characters. And so I don't believe that a woman should be always soft. A woman should be always, meek. A woman should always be, hi, how are you? No. Situations call for certain, if we are seeking to be in spaces like being the president, then there would be parts of our lives where we have to exude aggressive.
Maybe we don't want to call it, maybe let's not call it aggression, so they don't have
your masculine side will come out.
You have to, because you are working with another gender who was raised in a way, again, by society, and it wasn't supposed to be like that. But guess who raised them? As mothers, as parents, right? And so it is not limited. It's all human attitude, human behavior, and all of us have the chance to learn and unlearn.
Thank you. So hold on to your unlearn and learn notes, because I need us to land properly on this topic. But like you have seen, the conversation has already caught fire. Ladies are already ready to dissect this conversation. I'm glad that I have the guests that I have in the studio. We're going for a quick commercial break. When we return, the conversation continues right here on The Dish. We'll be right back. entire show should just be recorded, no breaks, just everything going on here in the studio should just go on live. Because guys, I keep telling you that the conversations we have on break are super, but we do better on here. Okay, so don't worry, you're not missing too much. Sometimes we even bring the conversations back. We do.
Yeah.
But welcome back to the dish right here on MX24. I'm super excited. My name is Miriam Mensah. I have my guest seated, and we are already like in the mud. This one is proper mud. It's good mud when it comes to the conversation of feminism. You were saying something about learning and unlearning things. People have gone through things. People have had very, very, very dangerous experiences. I remember having a conversation. Oh, this was last year. Thank God. Oh, thank you, Holy Spirit, for this coming to me. Last year, I met a lady who's 33. She's married. Wonderful guy. Guy loves her to bits. But if he tries to be a bit wild in bed with her, that's how he will get hurt. Like, he will get a beating. He will get something hit. Like, something will hit him. Like, he will end up with a broken head or something. And he wanted to go to therapy. Strangely, my friend said, I have a therapist. And I don't know how my friends think that I'm seeing a therapist, even though I am. But yeah. It's like, oh, I have a friend who's in therapy, and she can help you with a good therapist. Because I have changed over time. I actually have, by the grace of God. In fact, therapy has been great for me.
Unlearned.
Yes, I have
relearned.
a couple of things. And whilst we were having the conversation, I realized that even at 33, her 9-year-old experience has not left her. She was sexually abused at 9. The woman is 33. If her husband tries to be a bit more wild with her, she gets, PTSD is living with her. She never addressed it. And she gets aggressive. And it breaks her every time that she's not healed from that. My therapist told me one time that you never heal. You just learn to live with the pain. You just learn to live happier than when the thing happened. And I told her that there's never anything like healing. I am actually surprised that I could actually find several women who are actually living with your pain. But do we become better than what we experience is what the unlearning bit, how the unlearning bit comes in. I want you to touch on how we could actually work on unlearning some of our traumatic experiences and be women regardless.
You see,
She's just taking a deep breath because it's not possible, my sister.
First of all, I just want to empathize with all those who are going through whatever traumatic experience there is. I believe we've all had our fair share of life. Life is very tough. And there are so many things you cannot control. Just like when we were coming, we had a minor accident on our way. It's not something that we anticipated. It's not something we thought about. Even though accidents happen, we didn't know it was going to happen to us. And so, first off, you just have to keep it in mind that you do not have control over everything. And things that happen to you are never your fault that they happened. However, if those things happen to you, whether they were in your control to have it calm down in the moment or not, it has happened. So what then do you do? As a human being who wants to still function in this society, so far as you call on death and it doesn't come, right? And so far as you are not departing, you definitely have a purpose to fulfill. And so in as much as you want to fulfill that purpose, you have to go through it gracefully. And for me, at a point in my life, I have realized that there's no satisfaction you will get beyond trauma than seeking the help of the Holy Spirit. Yes, I will never downplay the role of a therapist because God has given us the knowledge and we are where we are because of the scientific discoveries and all the help that has come from learning about science, learning about the human psychology, learning about doctors, having doctors do all sort of surgeries and operations and what have you. But then life is also spiritual. No matter how we see it, it is spiritual. That is why you will sleep and see yourself in another realm. You wake up and you call it a dream. Life is very much spiritual. And so for me, there is no satisfaction and there is no healing process you would get on this earth than seeking the help of the Holy Spirit to guide you, honestly. So to anyone who has gone through trauma, experiencing all sort of pain, and have exhausted every ethical means by way of trauma, by way of counseling, by way of therapy, by way of advice, friendships, tourism, going on vacations, and you still are not seeing the solution you deserve, try the Holy Spirit and see. That's a recommendation. Try it.
Media.
Hallelujah, somebody.
No, honey. I will just throw the conversation back to you. Please take it from there. Exactly where she ended.
You see, anytime I hear about people's traumas, especially children, you see, I took a deep breath.
Yeah.
I'm out of breath right now. Like, I'm out of breath. It's the most sickening and saddest thing an adult can ever do to a child. I ask myself over and over again, what at all do you see in a 9-year-old that is appealing for you to sexually assault the person? People like that should not exist. I'm sorry, but I just can't take it.
It's okay.
I just can't take it. So you see this woman, that's the point I'm trying to get to. She can never forget. Because you, at that age, you are very helpless. You do not even understand what has happened to you. You cannot, so this is what happens. When something like that happens to you, as you grow, that is when you understand it. And every single time you understand it, the pain increases. Because as you are a kid, you don't even understand it. You don't know what have happened to you. You just know that some adult has done something to you. But as you are growing, you now understand what that adult did to you.
And then it begins to shape your
And that will
understanding.
never leave you.
Yes. Yes.
So my question is, did the husband know that something like that happened to her? Good. So if the man knows, you know that you cannot try something like that with her. Because
or the man would have just thought that, listen, it's 9, you were 9.
Yeah, but it's not over.
But that's how men are. That is why I always keep
it's
telling
not
people
over.
that be very aware of the biological makeup of whoever you're dealing with.
Yeah.
If I'm dealing with a woman, because I understand that as women, we're naturally emotional. I know where to hit for a woman to get what I'm looking for. Whether if I wanted her to get angry or I wanted her to be sad, I knew exactly what to do.
Yeah.
When it comes to a man, do you understand the biological makeup of a man? A man will tell you that it happened to you at 9. If he was abused at 9, he would have been over it by now. So why are you crying over a 9-year-old?
Yeah.
But if he understood also that she's a woman, anytime she remembers that at 9 years old when she was weak and she was helpless and nobody was there to save her, she was abused. It will inflict new wounds, not bruise her own. It will inflict new wounds on her.
And sometimes the thing about these abuses is that the person feels that way because they somehow, most often than not, abuse victims like this do not get justice. There is no justice that is justice enough for what is done to the person. But they will grow up living with that person for a very long time. And if they even come to the sense to report, you see, that's the reason like feminism was introduced in the first place. Before, if they come to a point where they even report, you will find mothers telling you that, oh, it's nothing.
Validating
you will
their
find them
feelings.
covering it up because they want to be what? Good wives to their husbands. Your husband has abused your child. You have chosen to protect your marriage, chosen to protect your husband over the kid. And that is what a lot of women do. So that is why the education of feminism comes in place. We need to be included. We need to be educated. We need to be open-minded. We need to protect ourselves. And a lot of women are the bows like that because a girl like that growing up, she's going to be fighting all her life.
She's going to be. And
She's going to be fighting
you said
all her
something
life.
very profound. I think I was having a Zoom session last week, and I think it just dropped out of my mouth because I didn't realize that really and truly, so many women or so many girls, and maybe boys too, didn't have the luxury of being handed over anything.
No.
Yeah.
They've had to fight for everything.
Yeah.
So that's all they know.
Yes.
Someone like that, when you've met them, you might not get the feminine aspect of them because they're coming in with energy that says that I know all of you up there are not going to give me anything. You're not going to hand over anything to me. So I'm coming with the full force of a man. Or same energy. I'm matching your energy. What you give me, I give you. But are there any issues and topics in the feminism discourse that you think has been overemphasized or underemphasized? So maybe two aspects, like maybe this part of it has just been, you know,
Overrated,
overemphasized.
yeah.
And then this one has been underrated or underemphasized. I'm going to start with you.
Marriage has been overrated.
Ah!
I'm a married woman.
You stole
Okay.
my thoughts.
But I think, not that I think, I see that marriage has been overrated.
Oh.
And leaving the feminism core principle behind. It is not the second one, which has been underrated, the discussion about men against women is what we need to be discussing more, because it is never about men against women.
Yes.
So these two things, one has been overrated and one has been underrated. We should be discussing and, you know, digesting issues about the fact that feminism is not about men and women hate, but then it's about including everyone, giving everyone equal opportunities. As against the fact that marriage has also been overrated. The fact that, oh, women should be this, women should be that. And it even has eaten into, not that it has eaten, it stemmed from our culture. Right? So it stemmed from our culture. With our culture, it started from when a man pays the bride price of a woman, and then during the marriage ceremony, so many pieces of advice will be given to the woman. And then with the man, they say, oh, now you're bear man, you say, and they'll end it there. And then the woman will have chunk of pieces of advices, overwhelming responsibilities. Meanwhile, the marriage is a partnership that we are all supposed to contribute to making the home happy. And it's not about the man or the woman. It's about partnership, having that collaboration with your partner. It's just like friendship. It's just like in a team where everyone brings their quota to making the whole thing beautiful. So I think marriage has been overrated when it comes to feminism, and the discussions about men against women.
We're not paying attention to it because that's not the real deal. That's not what it is.
At all.
I'm staying with you a little bit on the marriage has been overrated bit. When you say that, do you also agree with those women on social media or the chunk of women that think that the responsibilities at home should be shared, and it does not show someone is weaker than the other, as opposed to what we grew up to see, that the mother that does this, and whether or not she is a working class woman, it's her responsibility and she stays with that. And then the man does this as culture demands, and that is his responsibility, and that's all he does in the marriage.
I don't agree to that, right? In the home, assuming the man is alone, right? The woman travels. Won't he eat? When he eats, what happens to the dishes? After he has removed his clothing, what happens to them? Will he send it to the laundry? And if we are to go back to say, okay, it's about culture, it's about tradition, then let's go back. Because those days, men did everything. Men owned lands. Men owned so many properties. And there in today, where are the lands? Where are the properties? So no, we are not going back. Let us talk about today. When you eat, who does the dishes for you? If your wife travels, what happens to you? Will you go hungry? You will not go hungry. And so same way as is in the house, if there are children, right? If there are children, you are taking care of children. The wife is busy taking care of the toddler. What happens to the other grown-ups? So you are expecting the wife to do all that. And then the man does what? As what? It's just, so that's why I'm saying that everything should, because these conversations shouldn't be had. It is common sense to raise your own child with providing the basic needs. And providing basic needs is not only limited to financial provision. It is not only limited to you, the father, being there as a father. You have to be a dad and cater for your children. Hands-on. There should be actions in your fatherhood. There should be actions in your daddyhood. There should be actions in your husbandhood. So in the house, it's a contribution, it's a partnership. The woman is not expected, or it is not only the responsibility of the woman to bear every responsibility in the house. It's overwhelming. It's actually overwhelming. And besides, the woman is not the only person contributing to the debts in the house, contributing to the dirty clothing, contributing to the dirty dishes. All of us, we eat together. we wore the clothes together. So if the laundry basket is seated there, it is not only the woman's clothing in the laundry basket. So if the woman steps out to say, for example, as I'm sitting here on a TV show, if my husband decides to do the laundry, will he only remove his clothing to do the laundry? No, of course. It's just, I will not stop saying common sense because that is human decency. You are living with a human being. All of you have contributed to dirty clothing, and there's a chance for you to do the laundry. Why are you secluding the woman? She should be part, right? And so I don't believe the woman should be the only person taking up all the responsibilities. She will die.
I was telling my producer the other day that I think that when people are asking for, so I was speaking to a guy, and the guy says, "Oh, I can't wait to have my Proverbs 31 woman." And this cut, you have to cut it for me. I want to post this one. So I can't wait to have my Proverbs 31 woman. And I said, "Have you read the entire Proverbs 31?"
No, he only read the part that suits him.
Exactly.
Yeah, read from verse 1 all the way to the end, because that's the last in Proverbs, isn't it?
Yeah.
So please, go and read everything, because there was a part of it that says that if you're a king or King Lemuel, he was not supposed to be drinking to make decisions.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to be irresponsible and irrational. Now that man that the Proverbs 31 woman is going to be being Proverbs 31 woman too is very wealthy.
Yeah.
He has money.
Very wealthy.
I am money.
He got money.
Proverbs 31 man.
Yeah.
Since you so want a woman that fits you. Because I think that, again, I agree with you if the conversation is had as a partnership when it comes to women, marriage bit. And then when it comes to the global space, if indeed you're supposed to be my protector as a man, which one is the fight again? And then for the women, if you need to be catered to, for, and seen, why the aggression? Do you guys get where I'm coming from? Because if we want to have the conversation of, now I'm speaking to your second point where you're saying that the men are not against the women. That is not the fight. That is like misguided priorities that we're looking at. The men are not the enemies. It is that we need to make sure that they are on board with us. It does not make them the enemy. But if you are looking at them being a partner with you, have you ever seen a man with all the ego that God has put inside his stomach come down to your level before? It doesn't work like that. Innately, they cannot even do that. If you see a man who is super humble because he sees power in that humility, he sees what he's getting, like he sees how he is.
How does that happen?
Good. I'm going to tell you a story. So my co-host and I, on the morning show, we went to visit a very big man. Right now, he's so big that this country depends in his hands. We went to visit him, and that's a depends in his hands. That's so bad. We went to visit him in his office in December. And then we're talking to him about, different things. And then he asked my co-host is married. He said, "Jay, how is marriage treating you?" It's like, Daddy, small. She's like, "You see, me, I have a technique. My wife and I, in marriage, there's supposed to be one fool in the house. The fool that takes all the nonsense, because there has to be peace, no matter what, because you have children. And I chose to be the fool. I look at the man and I say, you? Don't be a fool. We don't like fools." Then he was like, "I'm going to explain. I like the way Mimi is looking at me. I want to explain. I like the peace in my home. I want my children to come home and be wanted to see daddy and be wanted to see mommy sitting by daddy. If my wife is complaining about something, she's right. She's right. Oh, baby, you did it. Yes, I'm sorry, baby. And sometimes she gets upset that I say, I'm sorry, baby. So she goes like, hey, you just say sorry. And it's like, but what should I do now? What do you want to do? Do you want me to be quiet? I'll be quiet. Do you want me to shout at you? I'll try you. And I find a way to get her to be in my space. She's always telling people that, oh, my husband is so humble. And I like the fact that it gives her peace to know that she has a team member. I said, this man caught the vision. So he said, I live a very peaceful life. And I don't even have time. I don't even like people. I don't like to be outside. So I'm always at home. When it bothers my wife, I'll just make another decision to be out. So for all of us, it's important to look at the conversation holistically. Yeah. Now, ladies, as our closing remarks, let's speak on how we could push this agenda rightly. Because we're still in the fight. So be included too. Very recently, we had a female vice president who was bastardized, talked about, called all sort of names. She still became the vice president. Even after that, people are still questioning whether or not she's able to do the work. Women have been in the S04E09 government who have been in the middle of scandals that we're saying that, listen, is this what we've been asking for? But this feminist movement has also, worried the growth because of the misinterpretation of the agenda. So ladies, speak on it, and let's look for a part 2 for this conversation. I think we need a part 2. You want to touch on that first?
Well, you see, one of the most important things I have seen on social media lately, right, that resonates so well with me, this person said that as a woman, okay, so she was using a woman, but I would want to use as a human being.
Yeah.
As a human being, your choice of spouse tells how much you love yourself. And I think that is absolutely it. You choose a partner based on how much you love yourself. So however your partner treats you and you accept it, it's not just about their treating, it's about you accepting it. However they treat you and you accept it, that is how much you think you are worth. That is how much you think you should be treated. You yourself have agreed that you should be treated that way. We've heard stories over and over again. One just right now, the Nigerian man, Osinachi's husband, that was sentenced to death. Can you believe that? We hear stories about men beating their women to the extent that they sometimes even include the children to do that to their mother. And it's just sad. You see, from what she was saying, everything that she submitted earlier, I agree with it absolutely. I just think that the whole bit about marriage, like she mentioned back in her conversation, the whole bit about marriage, the negativity of it is louder than the positive bit of it. So a lot of people, including myself as of now, I'm even afraid to get married. Yes, because you just never know. You do not want to go and land yourself in a situation where you feel like being single is better. But I don't think it's better. I think everybody wants a partner. Everybody wants companionship. Everybody wants help. Everybody wants someone to rely on. We all want that.
There's a man in my ear. He said, don't be afraid. He's here for you.
We all want that. It's just quite unfortunate that the narrative of the negativity of marriage is louder than the positive ones.
So we should do better.
Because there are some men that are absolutely treating their women like
angels.
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 Yeah.
My husband is one of them.
I know, right? And then we have the ones that are treating their women as if they were. But that also boils down to us, this generation. This is my closing remarks. I think that we can do better as we are talking about it. Our children, our siblings, we should be the leaders. We should bring them up in a way that they know that this is not a man, this is not like she's saying. Are you telling me that when you were single as Bema and you had your single room and you were there, after eating, what happens? You just put the plates anywhere?
Maybe.
You see?
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so we should train our people right now to be the men we want them to be in the future.
Thank you. I totally agree. So this actually, I beseech the parents. I'm not a parent yet, but I beseech the parents that as we are raising our young boys, they are the ones who will grow up with the women. They are the ones who grow up with the ladies. And so do not shield your young boys from certain responsibilities which you think or assume only ladies should be doing those responsibilities. Just as you train your little girl child, you train your girl child to be in the kitchen, train your boy child to be in the kitchen. Because you never know, in today, even some men have chosen not to marry. You never know if your male child is even going to want to be married or not. And so what happens if they go out to the world and they have no basic life skills at all? So dear parents, I humbly ask that train your children, whether they are girls or boys, the same way as you would treat your girl child or train your girl child. Because when your girl child grows, guess what? They are going to be in the same society with that boy child who was abandoned or who was being denied of the training of life skills, the training of having to respect women, the training of respecting women's spaces, the training of making a woman comfortable around them. So let us train our young children or young boys to be responsible young men, to be responsible men in the future. And again, feminism is not about hate at all.
It's not.
It is never about women against men. All we are saying is that systems should be structured such that their workspaces, opportunities, rights should be given to women, and we will all live a life worthy of living in our own existence and having a peaceful life. That is all we are asking.
I say the ask, it's not a big ask, it's a very, very
It's very
small
small.
ask.
Yeah.
But I always say that to even buttress all of their points they've made, make sure that as a woman you merit these positions too. Because what if they give you that position? What if they give you that opportunity and you're not ready for it? We should be able to train ourselves. We should be able to equip ourselves. That's why they always say that add value, because you just never know when opportunity knocks at your door. We're having a conversation on feminism, but we're also asking that be your own woman. Be your own woman. Be your own woman. Thank you so much for being a part of the show today. I have been, in fact, tonight has just been super exciting. I think we should do a part 2. Let's do a part 2. A part 2 is coming soon. In a studio near you. Want to say a big thank you to Epic Glow. I love you, Epic Glow. Thank you so much for making my skin glow, okay? And give what it's supposed to give. I want to say a big thank you to Decozone for this wonderful set. I said if that house will be a home, you need pieces from Decozone. Gino, Telecel, Cowbell Coffee, Lily, Nivea, and Bet. We thank you. Appreciate you all. And to Mrs. Juliana Amoateng and her ladyship Agbang, thank you, ladies, for coming. I'll see you again next week. This has been The Dish on MX24. Have a good evening.